Hey, welcome back. It's Emma, aka Stitch by Emma, or the second best Emma Stone if you want to play favorites. And today I'm going to take you through my antique restoration collection and kind of talk about how I do it. I have all my pieces over here with me. I want to try them on, talk about them, all that fun stuff. Over the past year, I really found joy in just like finding old pieces that were like doilies or kind of just like torn and tattered things that used to be wearable, now they aren't anymore, and either turning it back into something wearable or just making it into a new wearable to kind of just give it new life. So I made a series on TikTok. I called it my Second Life series. And then I kind of stopped actually doing the series. I stopped updating the playlist. So anything that is recent or new, it's not going to be in the playlist anymore because I suck at TikTok playlists. I don't know why. They're so hard to like keep track for me. But here they all are. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. I also really hope that the mic doesn't pick up the cicadas. The cicadas are so bad by me right now. Even with the window shut, it's just like a constant ringing in my ear. Oh my god, if you don't have cicadas where you live right now, you are literally so lucky. Like, I envy you. I want to be you. Anyway, the first antique restoration piece I did was super simple. I found one little table runner at an antique store that happened to be like the perfect width of my bust when I wrapped it around me, and I was like, oh my god, this could be a cute little top. So I just kind of like sewed it together in the front and then added little straps, and that was it. That was all I had to do. There's a little stain on the back, but honestly, when it's on me, it's not noticeable. I think it just kind of like blends in with my skin tone. So I never really did anything to like clean this up except for like throw it through the washer and the dryer and give it a little soak or something, because I don't know, it's just like it's lovely. It's got a lovely little floral print. You can see the stain when I hold it up now. Whenever I put it on for some reason, I just can't see it. So I've like never taken the opportunity to try and fix it, I guess, even though I could. For the straps, I just did a little mesh stitch, and it's super cute and it kind of blends in with the rest of it. And the front is kind of like slit open too. I love it. So we're gonna set this one aside. Next one I did was like a tad more ambitious. It was a lot more crochet, a lot less antique, but I found the most gorgeous flower doily, okay? And it was the most delicate, the most beautiful thing. Look at it. Hold on. Look how absolutely stunning that is. Just like the work on it, the intricacy, it is so delicate. And I wanted it to be the centerpiece of a top. So I crocheted this whole bodice and did these little crisscross straps. And the yarns kind of make it look like floral or like leaves coming down the middle, which is what I was going for. The only issue with this one is no matter how much I tried to reposition the straps, it pulled up the flower in kind of a weird way that makes the top parts of it pointy, and that's not my favorite. And I think I want to try to like redo this in a way, like take off the flower completely and just kind of re-sew it on, but I am so scared of ruining it because it's so beautiful, and I also wanted to find a way to sell this piece, but like in good conscience. If it's not perfect, I don't want to. And I mean, if people are okay with like buying imperfect pieces, and doing like a sample sale or something like that, I guess, but I don't know. This is one where I was still like very much learning and trying to figure out my style with this and stuff. So maybe I'll return to this one soon and try and figure out what to do. The next thing I made was a whole dress. I found this tablecloth that I added these little straps to, and then I added a strap on the back. And the thing is, when the tablecloth closed up, there were holes on like my ass. So like you couldn't really wear it. You had to find a way to fill in the gaps. So I sewed in these little doilies into the back, and it very much reminded me of the dress when in the Little Mermaid, when Ariel like first comes out of the ocean and she's like feeling herself and stuff. That's what I felt like when I put this on, because these kind of look like sand dollars and seashells to me. So with those just like land right on the butt and it's like perfect. I thought it was such a cute like beach dress, because I'm pretty sure this is a cotton material, and I don't know, I love it. I think it's so cute and unique. Okay, this next one I think is so cool. It's very unique. I found this little yellow doily that kind of looked like a looking glass or a mirror, and it has this little bow on it, and I wanted it to be kind of like the centerpiece of it. So there's kind of like a peekaboo in the middle. So I created a bust for it, and then I sewed on this little doily that covers like the top part of my stomach, and then there's an open back to it. So I think that this is so sick. People told me that it kind of looks like a sea creature, and I took that as a compliment, even if they thought that it was like an insult or trying to be funny. But I think it's so cool. I've never seen anything quite like it. So This at this point is perhaps my most ambitious, but this was the Barbie dream dress, which now I'm calling the Pink Pony Club dress, just depending on like what the event or occasion is you're gonna wear it to. And for me, I think I'm gonna end up wearing it to go see Chapel Roan. Let's go. I'm so excited to wear this one out, but the top half is all crocheted by me, and then it corsets up with a ribbon. Then we have this mesh bodice, and the whole skirt is made out of antique doilies that just kind of follow the color scheme that I was going for this dress. And I love this dress so much. It's not even funny. I think it's just perfect. It's so cool. The skirt is like asymmetrical too, so it kind of just like twirls perfectly. It's amazing to me. Okay, this next piece is not something that I made, it's just something that I restored. But it took so much work to restore that I'm literally just gonna throw it in here because it deserves it. So I bought this skirt on Depop. This skirt is perhaps one of the most gorgeous, unique, one of a kind pieces in my wardrobe. I love it so much. I cherish it. I think it's like over 100 years old, but it is the most stunning little white skirt with ruffles and crochet detailing in the middle, and it is just absolutely so beautiful. When I bought this skirt, the description was like, there's just like some minor defects from age, no big imperfections, and so I was like, oh my god, amazing, beautiful. She edited out almost all of the imperfections in the skirt in the photos, or like purposely didn't photograph any of them, because when I got this in the mail, it was brown. It was brown. It looked like somebody shit themselves and then died in it. And I was so disappointed because I was hoping that when I got it, I could wear it out to the event I was going to that night. I was going to go see a show with my parents. And I was like, oh, this would be such a beautiful like little skirt to go wear to go see a musical. And I got it and I wanted to cry because it was so damaged. I thought it was beyond saving. And there were holes all over it. The lace was torn. The whole top of this was full of pinholes. Like you could like literally stick your hand through it. So I was like sewing like a mad woman. I sewed up all the little pinholes. So you can kind of like see the seams now, but it's not that noticeable. And I had to spend a couple days trying to find a way to clean it and make it white again. And I did. And I'm going to tell you my whole process later after I show all the pieces. There are some little tears in it still that I just like kept because I don't know, maybe it adds a little bit of character. And also, I just don't feel like fixing every single minor tear because there were so many. But like you can barely tell, and it's really beautiful. And honestly, I've never seen anything quite like it. This this is beautiful, this is amazing, this is perfect to me. So the top half is an antique yoke with butterfly detailing, and the ribbon was actually a part of it initially, which is amazing because look at the color of the rest of it. I know. So when I found this, I found that yoke on Depop, and when I got it, kind of like the skirt, it was a little tattered and torn and it was brown. However, she disclosed that. In the listing, she's like, this is a very damaged piece, do with it what you will. And I bought it because I was like, okay, I know I can fix this now. So I wanted to turn it into like an antique corset cover, antique camisole, kind of like they used to do with the linens and everything back in the day, back in the Edwardian era. So that's what I did. I bought this when I used to work at the yarn store. So after one of my shifts, I was like walking around with this ribbon to try and find a perfect color match. And I came across this one. I think I showed this in my last video actually, but in case you haven't watched it, it paired perfectly with this yarn called Fiber Spates Scrumptious 4-ply, and it's just like absolutely stunning. It's a silk merino blend, I believe, and it's so soft. So wearing this, it kind of emulates the whole feel of wearing like pajamas or loungewear that like the antique linens and camisoles were supposed to be anyway. So I think it's perfect. Then I added a little like ribbon to cinch the waist a little bit to kind of create the peplum look that a lot of them had too, because a lot of them kind of like have buttons that cinch in at the bottom. And yeah, I really love that piece. I think it is so cute and probably the most wearable of all of these. Not that they're not wearable, they absolutely are, and I do wear them, but this one is the most like casual, you know, like if I walked into like Target or a local coffee shop and that people wouldn't stare at me, you know, people would probably stare if I walked in with this anywhere but like going to grab dinner in the city late at night or walking into a bar or a club, you know. However, I'm trying to really move past the whole like what people think of me thing and just kind of like vibe because I know I'll regret it later if I'm older and I'm like, God, I never wore the things I wanted to wear. You know, you just gotta be yourself. Fuck it up. This next one, if you followed me on any social platforms in the last couple months, you have definitely seen. This is the original Swan Lake skirt. Swan Lake, we're going to go through the spiel again. Hang with me. You can fast forward like 30 seconds if you don't want to hear it. It's my most recent pattern that I released 2 months ago. It's a lacy skirt and it's video and written hybrid. So if you're a beginner and you still want to try to make it, but this was the first version I made. The pattern does not have the doily in it, okay? There is no doily in the pattern, but there is in this because what originally prompted me to make this skirt was trying to find a way to utilize these swans. I wanted to make a skirt that was flowy and looked like these swans were swimming in water. And that's, I think, exactly what I accomplished. This was another one that I made when I worked at the yarn store, and there were some really sweet women who were like trying to follow along with the journey of it. They're like, have you finished that swan piece yet? And I'm like, not yet, Jan, not yet. If you did buy the pattern and you want to add kind of like a photo in the middle kind of like this, you totally could by just switching from working in the round into working in rows and just kind of like slip stitch it in as you go. So yeah, that's this one. This one low-key changed my life. I'm not gonna lie. So thank you. When I bought that doily with the swimming swans, there was one big one and two little ones. And I initially wanted to make a white swan and a black swan dress because I love Black Swan and I love Swan Lake and I love ballet and I think that'd be like so cool. But I ultimately ended up deciding I'll use one to make a dress, I think. But I ultimately ended up deciding I'd make one into a dress and the other one I just really wanted to start using. So I made it into this top. This top I've had all over my TikTok for the last month or two since I've made it. So if you've seen it already, I'm very sorry. But I love this piece so much. The swan sits right in the middle, and the way that the bow kind of like flows over the leaves of the swan, and that the leaves at the top kind of sit right below the bust, it feels so elegant. It's corseted up to the rest of it, so there's two little bows flowing down, which is also so like pretty and feminine. And the back is completely floral stitched. So I love this too. I'm working on a pattern right up with this stitch that's kind of like a cardigan, kind of like this. This is vintage, but it's a cardigan kind of in this style, but with a stitch like this. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So those are all the completed restoration pieces that I have at the moment. I do love doing them, so I'm not stopping anytime soon, I don't think. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about like my process of doing it. So first things first is cleaning them. A lot of antiques are going to be like browning or have age spots because people use them as like food runners and you've got like food or some kind of like tomato sauce on them sometimes. Or honestly, this might be gross, but sometimes I think it's blood, which is like, ugh, I don't even want to think about that. I really hope it's not blood for like everybody's sake. But however, this is the detergent that I use to clean up the stains on them, and it works like a charm. It's called Restoration. I found it on Amazon. I saw some other girly on here doing like a cleaning antique video, and she was like, "This is great. I'm not sponsored by them. It's just like really wonderful," and it really is. I cannot believe how effectively this removed like yellowing and browning and stains on these antique pieces that literally seem like beyond salvaging. I think all you have to do with this is you do like a pre-soak and you soak it in like a certain amount of scoops for a certain amount of water. I usually just like guesstimate. I try not to do too much so it doesn't like erode the piece, but I'll do like enough where like it feels right, you know? It's just kind of like eyeballing it. But it does have like proper instructions on here. But you do like a pre-soak for 20 minutes, you wash it out, out with cold water, and then you refill the little tub with like lukewarm water with the same amount of powder, and then you let it soak for 6 to 8 hours this time. So just like let it go, get it out of your mind, get yourself a sweet treat, get a coffee, go back to work, do whatever you gotta do, and then you just let it soak for the day, and then by the end of the day it is like spotless. It's incredible, it's witchcraft, it's wizardry. I don't know how it works, but it is amazing. So I would totally recommend this if you're trying to get into like cleaning antiques or restoring pieces and stuff because it's magical. The next thing you have to do naturally is buy your antiques. Find your doilies. I like to go to local antique stores and kind of browse around. Usually they'll have little tubs of doilies you can just kind of sort through, find ones that you like, but that can be really overpriced. Sometimes it'll be like $8 for one doily, and I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are, Prada? Like, no, shut up, Miss Dolce and Gabbana. I don't want to hear it. So I usually go on eBay and I'll look up like antique doily lot or antique runners, antique lace, or antique crochet. And usually you will get people who were collectors or just like had a bunch. Usually, if you put in like a little time to dig, you'll find people who are getting rid of like tons, and they'll be selling a whole box of like 20 pounds worth of doilies, and that is what this is. This has also kind of become the miscellaneous box. We've got yarns. We have my dead great grandfather's newsboy cap. I don't know why this is in here. I don't know why this is here. Oh, I was keeping one of the most gorgeous antique pieces I have in this box just for like safekeeping, because this is a very gentle box. You know, there's nothing like fragile in here. Sometimes in like my closet or my drawer where I keep my tops and blouses and stuff, there's things with like lots of zippers and buttons that can get stuck if things get like meshed together. So I don't want to like risk putting delicate things in there. And this is one that I've been keeping with the antiques. I didn't include this in the video just because like I didn't do anything to it. It was already cleaned when it got sent to me, but we're here now, so why the fuck not? So this is another antique camisole with butterfly lace detailing on it, and it is so gorgeous. This is what I was trying to mimic with the little blue piece. This is one that I think like all of it is over 100 years old, like not just the crochet and the lace and stuff, but like the linens attached to it as well. I'm gonna tie it all up so you can see just how it's supposed to be presented. But this is how it's supposed to look. It's so pretty. I love this top, but I keep it in my doilies box just for like safekeeping. So of all the things that I just showed you, with the exception of the swans and that one top with the butterfly yoke, everything had been from this little box of doilies that they sent me. And I realized I have more stuff just sticking out of it, makeup bags. Literally, I don't know how this shit ends up in here. I am not the most organized person in the world, if you can't tell by now. But what I do is I just go through here and I would like lay them all out on the floor and just kind of like piece some of them together like a puzzle and see if that would make a pretty top or a pretty skirt, or if like I could make a solo piece out of this one and crochet something around it or knit something around it to kind of like make that stand out. So like here's a really beautiful one. This one just fell out of the box. And another one. So if I like clean these, I could start putting them together and put these circles together. And I would think about like crocheting a waistband or something. I would make the waistband and slowly hand sew them on and attach. I don't do any sewing machine with this because A, I'm bad at it, and B, because everything is so delicate and gentle that I want to make sure that like everything is so intentionally sewn together and very careful with it. Here's another really pretty one. I would just take them and kind of lay them together on the ground and try and figure out like what I want to do with it. What vision is like calling to me and speaking to me right now. Here's one that I have been trying to figure out what to do with for forever. Ever since I got this box last year, which is this beautiful little floral table runner. It is a little bit thicker than the rest of them. The material isn't just like a plain cotton that's kind of like really light and, you know, that's what I'm looking for. Flimsy. You can just kind of throw it around and play with it. This one, this one, even though it looks like it's the same, I wish you could feel it. I wish I could let you feel this one, but it's a little bit thicker. And I'm sorry, I'm just making sure my mic's on because I'm like traumatized from the last video where I filmed for 30 fucking minutes and it died 15 seconds in. So if you see me like looking down, I'm not checking myself out, I'm checking my mic. This one is so pretty, and I think I wanted to do something like this where it's the main centerpiece here, and then we do kind of like a crisscross back and then add some straps. But I would need a little bit more width on the sides. So I need to find some doilies that I can like lay on the sides of it and make into something cool that is dynamic but also fits, because I don't want it to look too clashy, too mismatchy, even though I like a lot of my stuff to be a little bit of that. And some of them, sometimes when you get lots like this, the pieces will come in pairs. So there'll be multiple of them and you got to kind of figure out like how you want to utilize those pairs if you want to. I'm just yapping now, I'm sorry. So restoration detergent, always hand sew, lay it out to get a visual, and then when it comes to like trying to add on to something, I always start with making a bust piece. Not necessarily with the doilies, but let's talk about the Barbie slash Chaperone Pink Pony Club dress for a second. I didn't focus on the skirt at all until I knew what I wanted the top to look like. And with this little guy right here. First things first is always make sure you know how to cover the girls, because to me that is the most important part, is that like everything is like secured and covered and I'm not going to be anxious wearing it out, because if I make something that I feel uncomfortable in or feels a little bit too flimsy like around the top, I know I'm never going to wear it because I'm going to be nervous the whole time I'm out and anxious that like I'm going to get a nip slip or something. So number one priority is making sure that things are covered and all good to go, for me at least. So I will usually work on making a bust piece. I figure out what shape I want the cups to be, if I want to do a flat bust or like triangle cups, or if I want to do like inverted triangles or ruched, literally anything. Just look up different ways to make like a top or a bralette and then work down from the bralette. Whether that's adding on another crochet piece until you get to the skirt or sewing on to the top part. For me personally, that's the order that I like to work in. That's the way that it really gets all together. I think I might have just unlocked what to do with this one. Make some cups, sew them onto the top part here, let this be around the waist instead of the bust, and then add some little crisscross straps going across the back. Perhaps? I know you wanted me to stay, but I can't ignore the crazy visions of me in LA. I heard that there's a special place. Anyway, so let's. A huge thing I get asked with this is, how are you not afraid? People are like, how are you not scared to use this? How are you not scared to wear these things in public? How are you not afraid you're going to break it? And the thing is, I don't intend on breaking any of my clothes, so I especially don't intend on breaking stuff that's like old and valuable or that I made myself. So I don't know. I never really understood that question. They ask me like when I knit stuff and crochet stuff and I wear it out, they're like, how are you not afraid it's going to rip and tear? And I'm like, do you think that every single time you wear a sweater that you bought at like Urban Outfitters out? Because personally, I don't. I'm not worried about like every single thing that I have ripping and tearing. I'm worried maybe I'll like spill on myself at a restaurant or something, but like that's any day, you know? I guess my advice there is like, don't be nervous that you're gonna like mess things up, because at the end of the day, honestly, unless it has really deep sentimental value, it doesn't totally matter. And I know some people might like totally like come at me for that, but it's true. There are so many little like doilies and old things just kind of like laying around, and if the worst thing that happens to it is that you try to make it into something and it doesn't work out and you have to try again with something else, it's not the worst thing in the world. You tried to make it into something new, and that's what's important. I think a lot of people have a misconception about like how delicate a lot of things are, like especially with the, where is she, the 100-year-old antique yoke. They're like, oh my god, that's so old. It is. This thing is sturdy. This is not made of Shein material, okay? This is made out of an Edwardian woman's hands. They had solid work, like multi-generational withstanding work. Like this thing could survive plenty. Personally, I wouldn't want to put it through the washer and dryer because I don't want it to have to survive that. But you know, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to try and use it or use materials like this, because if it's lasted this long, there's honestly not much that you could do to it that's going to make it like become damaged. I think that's all we got for today. Also, if you watched my video about the cardigan, the fairy cardigan, the pattern was supposed to come out today, June 7th. This might be up on June 8th though, but the pattern was supposed to come out on June 7th. That was delayed until June 21st. So pattern for the Eloise Fairy cardigan is going to be coming out on June 21st. Keep your eyes out for that. Check out the rest of my patterns if you want to try and make some of my pieces, because I love seeing your work and I love sharing your work, and it makes me so happy every time I see one of you wearing one of my patterns. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one, and I hope to get a video up at some point where I actually take you through like the actual creation of one of these, and I'll film like beat for beat, step for step. But for today, it's just about the general process and the stuff that I've made so far. So it's only up from here. All right, have a good day. Bye.